Welcome everybody from me too. My name is Olympia, and as my lovely accent and my name does not leave much to imagination, I come from Greece, and I also consider Switzerland my second home, as I've been living here for quite a long time, and I have had my family here and everything. My background is in organizational psychology, but I mainly work as a coach, a solution-focused coach, trainer, and I'm an ICF PCC coach. And I have an organization called, I'm the founder of Atom Wave, a small business that we offer training for internal coach certification. And some of our clients are from the corporate world, from insurance, from like AXA, banking, Alpha Bank, Eurobank, Pharma, Baxter, IKEA from the Scandinavia, and everywhere, of course, and lots of other corporations. ROI has become a passion of mine, and I like working with it because I think it's an excellent vehicle for us to be able to do our job. I think many of you will agree that our job of coaching is a wonderful job because we get the chance to work with people at their best, with their strengths, their resources, and make whatever they really want to do. But in order to have the opportunity to do that, we have to be able to persuade the decision makers within the organization to release those budgets and sign the contracts. So I found that this is what ROI serves our community. So before going on, we are going to see the agenda of this webinar, which will start with what are the types of coaching outcomes we get. And then we're going to see a little bit, as much as possible, into a client case, how the ROI was calculated. And then we will have breaks with questions and attempted answers as much as possible, and some a breakout room at the end. So please feel free to write your questions also during the webinar, so that we go and look at them. And then while we have the session of questions and answers, we can do this live instead of just writing them. Just a note of caution, this presentation has lots of numbers, so bear with me. Sometimes I may be going fast, so please ask, and we will be able to explain better. Now I would like to ask you and make a poll, which I will launch in a second. So the question is, suppose this webinar was worth investing your time, how will you know? So please look at this poll and go over and answer. What would you like to happen so that it was worth your time? Okay, we have 60% of you have voted. Just a couple of seconds more. Okay, so you would like, most of you, get something practical that you can apply to your own practice. So I really hope we get there. And as Jesper said, the presentation will be shared, and then we will also share a small tool with the basic questions around that. And then, of course, you would like to learn more about the ROI of coaching, which is the second in answers. And you are very nice saying that, not saying that it will have kept you from doing other things. So hopefully this is not going to happen during the webinar. So these are the results that, and we can move forward, I think. Okay, so just to be on the same page, a small definition of the financial ROI formula. It is an old formula. It's been around for about 100 years, but it's just that we have the benefits of something minus the cost, divided by the cost again, times 100, and then you get a percentage, which is the ROI, the return on investment percentage. And what that means is that for every euro invested in coaching, in our case, how much is it returned after all costs have been captured? So if we have an ROI of 100%, that would mean that for every €1 invested, then we have €1 that is returned after all costs have been captured. So on top, over and above. I would like to make just one more poll before we start to set the base for the discussion. And the poll is about your experience, from your experience, how you rate the ROI of leadership coaching. I think it would be very interesting to see what we get. So I'm going to relaunch launch the next one there. I'm launching there. So there's 5 positions on the scale, from very poor, poor, fair, significant, very significant. So voting is going on. Thank you so much for participating. We're there. So we're at 80% of the participants voting, and let's share the results. See. So 44% believe that it's a significant ROI. Plus the very significant, we are at 55%. Fair, which is in the middle, 26%. Very poor, 7%, and poor, 11%. Okay, let's. I also agree that it's significant and very significant, and I would like to share with you latest. It's not the latest, but anyway, it's a survey that shows how leadership development good leadership development is linked to financial results. So the Global Leadership Forecast did a study, and they saw that the corporations or the organizations, not just for profit ones, who had high quality leadership development also had 8.8 times highly likelihood to have high quality of leaders. So this is the leadership quality of the organization, was 8.8 times more probable to be high. And also engagement was 7.4 times more likely to be high when there is good leadership development in the organization. And of course, for us who are professionals in leadership development, this is no big news, because I think we can sniff it from outside, whether there is leadership development, good quality going inside the organization. But what is interesting about this study for us is that they found that those organizations that had high leadership quality because of high leadership development also were ranking 6 times more likely in the top 20 financial performers. So it's one of the few studies that can link somehow the financial performance to leadership development. And as you saw in the poll, you and me and all professionals in the leadership development, like coaching is one, we all know that it's got a significant input. Yet studies and reality show that this is not the perception of the top management. Like Jesper said at the beginning, this is always something that we have to talk about and prove what is the value of what we are doing. So like here, the Korn Ferry study shows that 55% of respondents rated the return on leadership development as only fair to very poor. And then we have some data about how much ROI is rated, how much it is calculated in organizations. And we see that only 14% of organizations evaluate the financial ROI of coaching, and 80% would like to find a way to do that. So this is what we are I'm going to attempt to show to you today in the best possible way, of course. One way that I have found useful to tackle the discussion around ROI in front of a CEO or a board is to talk about it and start from what it is. So very often, and I suppose you also have this question, say, okay, yes, let's suppose we invest all this money into coaching training, certification, whatever. But what are we gonna get back? What is the ROI? And I come back and say, yes, you're talking about monetizable outcomes, which is just one part of the outcomes. But yes, there are. There are monetizable outcomes, which are outcomes that are also calculable, because coaching has also many outcomes that are not calculable. But in order to have monetizable outcomes from ROI, what we are doing as coaches is that we need to have business impact. So our job also leads to sales increase, to quality improvements, to cost savings, productivity time, and KPIs of the organization. And these two, business impact and monetizable outcomes, are like what you are looking for. But I would continue. In order to have that, your people change something in their behavior. So with coaching, they are supported to change their behavior. So in order to have business impact, the people change the way they manage others, the way they listen to each other, the way they collaborate, or they become assertive. So we have a series of behavior changes. And how is this change achieved? I will mute that. So anyway, so behavior change comes through having all these awareness that comes. So how does behavior change comes? It comes through building awareness, creating awareness, which is our main job. So your people who are coached gain new insight, new perspectives, they gain clarity, they are empowered, they are engaged, they get self-confidence. And of course, this is, and of course, we have to have people who believe that there is good progress, there is a change happening through coaching. So through this sequence, we see that ROI is just one part of the outcomes that are delivered through coaching. On the other hand, it is our job to translate all our work in terms of awareness and behavior change into business impact changes, and then whatever can come out of that that is monetizable to calculate the ROI. So this is like a framework for the discussion about what is ROI and what is its place within a coaching assignment. It is very important, but that's one part of it. And now I would like to take you into a specific client case, which is an example, a recent one, from an internal coaching team that I supervise. So it's from the banking sector, and it's 4 internal coaches with 10 coachees, internal clients. And the small example is about tracking 40 sessions. But we will start by looking at one specific coachee and what came out of it, and then we will look at the whole. And this looking at one individually and then looking collectively is where this zoom in and zoom out model name comes from. That is, when we have a program where more coaches are involved, like in a leadership development program within an organization, we first look at each individual and track the outcomes, and then look at the whole, and that's the zoom out. So I will start with the zoom in part. So the first part is about agreeing the desired future. And the desired future is a term that is lent from solution focus, which is also the methodology that I follow as a coach. But of course, the questions that you will see and the way we work could also be your way of working, be it solution focus or not. So in the example, I will show you what questions we get, what were the answers about, of course, simplified, and then we'll see what came out of it. So at the start, it's about evidence-based questions, but what the coachee would see herself doing differently at the end of the program. What will others would see differently, would see her doing differently, and a scaling question where she is in relation to her development objective now. So here the example is about a middle manager who supervises a team of 6, and she feels overwhelmed by the fact that she has some team members, and especially one she's focusing on, that keeps asking her the same questions without taking any initiative. And that is for her a lot of work, and she has tried several times, but it's still going on. So she wants to develop this person. As she says here, I spend at least 1 hour daily discussing with John questions that I'm certain he already knows, but for some reason he comes back. And what I will see myself doing differently is spending less time, because I will have developed him to feel more confident and to take initiative. And the others will see me doing differently, that it will be my team who will notice that I have more time to spend with them. And now in relation to where I want to be, I am at a 3. Okay, so this is, of course, what we always do at the making a plan, a development plan as coaches. And then the second part is about being diligent in noting progress from one session to the next. Again, in the solution-focused way, our first question is always about what went better since last time, and how somebody managed, so that they find what worked and capitalize on that. So in this, and it's a condensed summary of what the person said. She said that what went better is that now I need less supervision time for John, from 1 hour daily to 1.5 hour per week. And I also got time to work more with another member of my team who felt demotivated. We drafted a development plan. And I trained another member of my team in an area he didn't know well, because now I have more time. And how did you manage? I became aware that I was not really listening to him. Now I ask him his opinion instead of immediately give him the solution myself. And I realized my coachee has some great ideas. And now I'm at the 7. So this is simplified, but this is basically what she said, with many more words, of course. So this is step 2. From session to session, we are making these questions and make sure we write down, we note all outcomes that we hear, no matter what type they are. So then, at the end of the assignment, be it like 4 sessions, 6 sessions, 20 sessions, we collect all the outcomes and we classify them according to what type they are. Are they about awareness-related ones, behavior change, impact, and what else? So here is what came out for this particular case. We asked again the scaling question to see where the person was at the end of the coaching assignment. Then the second question is, what are you doing differently as a result of this program? And it is very important to stress the result of this program, because of course many other things that are happening are contributing to having a change, but we are interested to see what is attributed to the program, to the coaching program, I mean. How did you manage, and what have others seen you doing differently? So on the right table, you see the list of outcomes. So it's all the things that the coachee reported doing throughout the coaching assignment and at the end. So the first one, it says pre and post assignment goal assessment by coachee. So at the start, it says I was at a 3, and now at the end of the assignment, I am at the 7 in relation to my goal. And this type of outcome is an assessment about goal progress. Often it's considered very subjective because it is reported by the coachee, but it is very important also because if a coachee is not finding coaching useful, then how else are we going to have more outcomes? The second outcome, she said in more words that I feel more confident now and I have more clarity about what I need to do in my managerial role. And this is because of the coaching. I realized things about how I was dealing with this person. And this is an awareness type of outcome. So because this person became aware of the way she was dealing with her report, she managed to look at that and see what she needed to change. And now we go to number 3, and she says, oh, now I listen more and ask more questions. So I improved the communication with my report, with my team member. And this is a behavior change because she's doing something different. And then there is another outcome, the number 4. She said, I improved my delegation skills. So this is business impact because it's got an impact. It's better management leadership skills. So better leadership quality. It is not calculable, monetizable per se, but it is business related. Then 5, I got time to train another member of my team. This is people development, talent development. Again, it's business impact. And then the 6th one, she says, I saved 4 hours per week, or 3.5. Before I was 1 hour daily, now 1.5 hour weekly. So this means that this person now has these hours per week, more hours to do more productive things. And this time is the more easily monetizable thing we can have, outcome that we can have for our coaching. Because if somebody is doing something more efficiently, this is productivity and it has value for the organization. So next one, and then I will pause to answer questions before we move forward. We take this monetizable outcome, as I call it, which is time, which is these hours. And we have the benefit, and we annualize these hours. So here we have also taken it a little bit down. It's 3.5 hours weekly, and it's calculated times 46 weeks. So there's the assumption that this is going to stay with the coachee for some time, that she has become more productive and efficient, and 46 weeks and not 52 because we have the holidays. And when you annualize this 3.5 hours of more productive time, it is 161 hours yearly. And then you see a value of 40 euro there. And that's the average man-hour operational cost of this particular organization. It's not how much, it's not just the salary, it's the operational cost for each person. So it's like their desk cost. It's something that is found in all the budgets for each organization. So that amount takes us to 6,440 euro. And then say, okay, so this person became more productive and she has 3.5 hours per week. And what is the cost? Let's calculate the cost. For this particular program, because it was an internal coaching program, the hourly cost that we have calculated for each coaching hour delivered, it's 146 euro. So when we do the calculations, these 4 hours that were given to this coachee, they have a value of 584 euro for the organization. And these 4 hours include the coachee hour, the coach's hour, the HR hour, the training hours, everything. And when we do the math following the ROI formula, then doing the benefit minus cost divided by cost times 100, we end up with a percentage for this particular case, which is 1,002%. And what does it mean? This was a particularly productive coaching assignment because we see that we have an ROI 1,002%. That means for every euro invested, an additional 10 euro is returned to the organization after all costs are covered. So going into how we do that, this is the log that help us track the outcomes that are coming from coaching. So you see the questions that we always make sure we keep at the beginning, at the start of the coaching assignment, and then tracking from session to session the during, what went better, how did you manage, and then looking at the whole assignment at the end and what the person is doing differently as a result of the program. So here I would like to make a pause and see if we have questions.
There was one in the beginning for Susan that said, what does this leadership development consist of? Only coaching, or are there other interventions included when we're talking about leadership development?
Yeah. Sometimes what I would say leadership development is very connected to coaching. So it is coaching that is aimed at developing the leadership quality of the organization. It could be a training together with coaching, or it could be just executive coaching.
Okay, yeah. There's another question here. Maybe not the right forum to ask more technical questions, but how did they calculate the staff cost per hour?
Okay. This is a question. This is an answer that is easily found through the HR of the organization. So they take the operational cost and divide it by the number of people who work inside and the hours. So there's always a man-hour operational cost, and it's a little bit more than it's not the salaries only. It is there available. The 40 euro, we got it from the HR. For another organization that we could not get exact figures, what we did was that we took a very, very low, we just took a very low amount, like 20 euro, something that could not be negated. But usually it is easy to access this number.
So another question here. When a potential client asks you what ROI the company can expect from the coaching, what do you say?
That's a very nice question. I would say that I don't know what the ROI of the particular case is going to be, but I would say I can show you what has happened in other cases, and I share with them either executive coaching cases or leadership development programs like the one I'm showing now. So I have gathered different examples, and then I share. So and also, I see it's Anders because I just saw the chat. If it is a program that is about more calculable things like sales, it is easier to commit to an ROI. But if it's the people participating are from different, then I would say, here, look at what I have done in the past. And I think it works. Or one can use other cases from the bibliography about coaching ROI, because there are. Yeah. You're welcome. So shall I move on, Jesper? I think.
Yeah, if there's no more questions, and if you post them along, I will collect them so we don't forget them in the stream, and we can answer them again or try to answer them at the end.
Thank you very much. All right. So now that we have seen the part of looking at each individual client, let's look at the how we would deal with a whole program where we have, like in this instance, 10 different participants. So this is zooming out, like looking at the whole. So it's very easy once we have done the work for each participant to then consolidate all the outcomes and calculate the total ROI of the monetizable outcomes. So going back to our case example, we have now a 10 coaching assignment, 40 sessions in total, as there were 4 per assignment. the 4 coaches, and the 10 coaches. So these 10 internal coaching assignments had a total of 54 coaching outcomes. And I'm going to show you what they were. The first one, goal progress. So this is the assessment of the coaches as to how much where they were at the beginning, at the start of the program, and where they feel they are at the end. So you see there was an average of 4.4, and now it's a 7.5, and you see we have a 70% increase from the pre to the post. The second one is awareness-related outcomes. So we have 19 outcomes reported in relation to building more awareness around the situation. There was a lot about self-confidence, feeling more empowered, being more connected to their resources, and then there was a lot of outcomes related to gaining clarity, looking at things differently, opening up new horizons. Number 3 is behavior changes. So we have 11 outcomes that are related to that. In this particular case, we had people who developed their assertiveness skills, and they had managed to do better delegation to their teams, better preparation for negotiation, improved collaboration were some of the outcomes for behavior change. We have number 4, business impact related outcomes, 10 of those. So these are related to better managerial skills and leadership quality, things that are related to client retention. So we had people who got into better handled client situations differently, and they got better results. We have cost savings results. And then the 4 out of the 10 participants had also monetizable ROI outcomes. So these were outcomes related to improved productivity, like the example I shared with you with better use of the time, and also some 5,000 from renegotiating a deal with a vendor. So if then again we look at those outcomes and we look at what these mean, and we do the calculations, we see that again these 414 hours times 40, when they are annualized, they go to 16,000 euro. Then we have an improved renegotiation result, 5,000 and a total of 21,000. And again, calculating the cost of the total hours that were delivered, which were 40 hours, because every coachee received 4 hours of internal coaching. The cost is 5,850 euro. So we did again the numbers, and we have an ROI of 268%. And now we can go back to the organization and say, from all the participants, from the 10 participants from the program that you run, just from the calculable, monetizable outcomes, because not all the outcomes are monetizable, you can get, you have already gotten your ROI back. You have 2.68, you have 268% ROI. And plus, we would say that these are the, I'm showing this table that I showed you at the beginning, where all the outcomes are summarized, and we say the people that participated, they assessed their goal approach from 40 by 70% increase. They worked and they got a lot of awareness-related outcomes like clarity, resourcefulness, self-confidence, which helped them do a change in the way they were behaving, which are more assertive, better delegation, better preparation for negotiation, which led to business impact results for your organization. So you have better leadership quality, better managers, better client retention, better cost savings, and of those outcomes that were monetizable, already you have covered all your expenses because you have a 268% ROI. So this is the way I usually present the ROI of the program. So it's not just one thing. So just summarize this part and then we go into the questions again and discussion. Some takeouts. I would say that expectations are important, but it's in coaching, many times we have other expectations, but many more outcomes arise. So it is important also to track all the outcomes of a coaching assignment, because nobody can know exactly what they will get out of it. Then we need to be creative in finding measurable data. It is the obvious ones like sales increase and quality improvements and whatever has numbers there. Numbers are important to the people we address, our jobs, our work. The third point is to be very conservative in attributions of results to coaching. So sometimes people are very enthusiastic and they will attribute huge results to coaching. So I have seen studies saying that somebody made 1 million sale because of the coaching. This could be a lot true, but it doesn't go down very easily. So it's important to ask this question: what percentage of this do you attribute to the program? And be mindful to have a number that is very, very well accepted, and tone it down. And very important, when we have a number of coaching assignments, we measure the total in terms of financial ROI, because not all coaching assignments produce visible outcomes leading to calculable ROI. So, like in the previous example, we had 4 out of the 10 participants with calculable ROI, but the total was very important because it was by far covering all the expenses. I will close my part with something that Lisa Ann Edwards is saying. She's from the Phillips ROI Institute, and she says that providing evidence about coaching is about helping our leaders to see its value. So it's not always obvious, so we are doing that to help them see what we are doing. I think we can have a pause here.
Yeah, good. And we have 10 minutes left. That would fit perfectly for some comments and insights.
Shall we do the first the rooms?
I think with 10 minutes left, we'll just have an open talk.
All right. Yeah.
Right. I think that's easier.
Okay. So in the chat, I don't know if there are questions already.
No. Should we close the presentation and see all people? Or I have here from Carl 2 questions. The first one: do you isolate the effect of the coaching, and if so, in which way? Do you have a methodology? There might be other causes behind the improvement than the coaching itself.
Okay. I think what Carl is talking about is this question of attribution of coaching to the results. And yes, there's many factors that help somebody progress. There's time, there is the input of the manager, there is the market and everything. So that's why we tend to ask, we insist on asking this question about how much of these outcomes, what percentage of these outcomes do you attribute to coaching? So if we have an outcome that has, let's say, a value of 10,000 euro, and somebody says, I attributed 20% of these 10,000 to coaching, then I would take the 2,000 there. I hope it's answering your question, Carl.
And he has a second one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you include the aspect of confidence regarding the evaluation? How confident the client is in estimating the benefits?
Yeah, it is one question that I would do. And it's also very linked to the previous one about the percentage and, of course, how confident they are. Yes, and this is also a way it is calculated everywhere, the ROI of coaching. Yeah, sure. Thank you, Carl, for the questions.
And here more some comments than questions.
Uh-huh.
Great to be inspired by a systematic approach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree completely. It makes it all visible all of a sudden, or more tangible.
Mm-hmm.
And Erika, that was from Annette, and Erika says, the idea of measurable data is key to make it feasible tool within business, focusing on numbers and results and savings. Yes, I really agree as well. I mean, the way you are presenting it with the cases and all that, I think any HR or CFO should be interested and really curious and say, wow, what perspectives it has.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting that you bring up the CFO, because I had a coachee who was the report of a CFO, and then he, when we had a three-way at the end, the end of the coaching assignment, this was an executive coaching assignment, I asked him the same questions about what he could see the client doing differently, of course, in front of the client. So there was a discussion. And then he said, I can see how more productive he has been with his team. And then I said, how much would you say this productivity has increased? 20%. And it was a big thing that he, a financial person, also said this number.
Yeah. We have a question here from Slavica. Yep. Olympia, you are also a trainer of coaching skills for managers. Have you also used the ROI here?
Yeah, excellent question. Yes, there's one when somebody's coaching, there was a program, there's several programs, but there was a program where the people participating were managers, and they were trained into coaching skills. And we were coaching them to coach their people. So we trained them, and then we followed up their development plan as coach managers. And we were tracking what their people were doing with coaching as trainers. And again, that program had 115 return on investment. There were 14 participants, and 9 out of those had super exceeded their sales targets beyond what they had agreed, and they attribute that to coaching. Yeah.
Thank you. Solveig has a question here. do you propose to create evaluations for instance, coaching skills workshops with these typical questions before the workshop and then complete it at the end, and then maybe after some months?
Coaching skills workshops. I think that it is very hard to track the results when we just have a workshop. Because then I don't know how much people get from just a workshop when it's about coaching skills, which is needs a lot of practice. So usually in the Atom Wave programs that we design with the people I work with, we don't do workshops, just workshops. We do a short workshop, and then whatever is in there, we support through coaching. So we see each participant or a group for 3 times after a workshop. Therefore, I find it very difficult to have a workshop and just track that and expect to have ROI. Maybe there is, but it's harder.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Would also be interesting to just have some keywords on your insights from what you have seen here.
Yeah. No, I'm very happy that it's been clear, and I will be very happy to answer other questions that may come up through my personal mail. Thank you for your thank yous. They're super. I'm very happy I had the opportunity to share this with you, and also very honored and thankful to ICF Denmark and all the ICF candidates supported that, and all of the colleagues that shared this, and we could have this opportunity. It's a big pleasure.
And of course, thank you so much also to you, Olympia, for doing this and doing it very clear and structured. It is something that it can be for us who are just coaches and passionate about coaches. It's very complicated, and you have presented it in a very clear way. But it's also a discussion we need to have with our clients sometimes. What's the outcome? What's in it if we do this? Usually we just see, a better atmosphere at the workplace. It's difficult to calculate and evaluate on it and how to use it. This is really down to earth and straightforward. But not easy. But
because sometimes I feel that the discussion about ROI brings goosebumps, to us coaches. Some say, what is this discussion when we do all of this great job and so significant to just take the coaching into this just financial talk. It's not just that, there's so much more. And I think this way we can have it more included in the discussion and not it's a part of what we're doing, a necessary part.
Yeah. Cool. Time to say goodbye and good luck.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Have a nice day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.